Hi there everybody, it's Rarity here from inkybutterfly.com. Thank you for joining me today for another card making video featuring this card. So this card was featured in Instagram hop yesterday. So I hope you had a chance to see that. If you didn't, just if you click in the description you'll see a link to that Instagram post, and then within that there'll be a link to hop onto the next participant. So there was a few of us all in the Poodles Stampin Up team that took part, and we were featuring annual catalogue products. So that was anything in the annual catalogue. So this was my card, and this featured the 2023 in colours, so they're all on there, with Boho Blue, Wild Wheat, Pebbled Path. We've got Copper Clay on the speckles, and then I've got Moody Mauve in the background. Okay, and then we also had some new stamp sets and things. So we had Layering Leaves, we had Petal Park, that's a carryover from the mini but is in the current annual catalogue. The Countryside Corners Dies, and the Countryside something or other, Countryside Florals maybe, embossing folder. Okay, so those were the products that we've used, all with the 2023 in colours. So I thought I'd do another one with the 2022 colours. Okay, so that's what we're doing today. Oh, I've got to pop my drawer out there. So a little bit of I've done the three little panels already and die cut those, just that saved just a little bit of time. So that's these three panels here. Okay, but I just want to show you some other bits and pieces. So we are going to do our embossing. Okay, and we are going to use we'll have to use our larger embossing machine. These won't fit through the mini machine, and I'm just lining up that cardstock inside the embossing folder just so that it looks central. Okay, and this one definitely has a direction because the flowers have little stalks on them, so the fold is actually the bottom in terms of the design, but when you're running it through you want to put it through fold first just to avoid that opening by accident. And with the large cut and emboss machine and the mini, actually, the directions are right here in front of you as to how to put together your sandwiches. So for the regular embossing folders, it does say insert your embossing folder hinge first. We want our base plate, which is this white plate which we use for everything, and then just sandwiching our embossing folder between two number 3 plates, which is our cutting plates. Okay, so we don't need our die adapter plate number 2. We're going to take that out and just put our base plate and 2 cutting plates on top of there and run that through the machine. So you should feel, you know, like it's doing some work, but it should be easy enough to run through. If you've got any resistance whatsoever, then just check that you've got that sandwich correct. Just going to put that die plate back in there, and that will emboss beautifully. Okay, and equally pretty is the other side. Okay, so you can sort of choose which one you're going to do. So that's our background. We've already got our white card base ready to go as well, so that will be ready for us when we come to put our cards together. I'm just going to pop that away as we speak. Got some scrap card here, which we're going to stamp our leaves and our flowers on. So for the leaves we'll use Parakeet Party, and this actually coordinates with this stamp set, the Layering Leaves stamp set. Coordinates with the bow punch that we've had in the catalogue for a little while. really pleased to have a coordinating stamp set for this. I'm just pulling out the punch because I wanted to see which way the stamp needed to be orientated, because when I made my sample I realised I had them kind of upside down on the card, so I just couldn't, I had to trim it down and then punch it out. So I just wanted to check which way around that needed to be. So I want 3 of those, so I'm just popping those around the edge so that I can punch those out. Okay, and then we will use our, for our flowers, we will be using Sweet Sorbet. Really lovely, bright red colour. Just light tapping on there. And again, I know that that needs to, the larger flower just needs to be slightly lower than the other ones. To fit in the punch, and I'm just going to clean that off straight away, as I like to do with red and pink ink. I just like to get them clean straight away. It's just me being particularly fussy when it comes to these things. So that's cleanish, and we can get those punched out, and they will be ready to go. So like I say, the bow punch is here, and that, I forgot about the, let's do the flowers first. I forgot that we would have to go around the other punch in that set, so let's do these first and then it doesn't matter. Okay, so just line those up in your punch, really easy to do, and give it a really firm squeeze. Okay, a few little bits and pieces go flying, so that's alright. So we've got those ready to go. I can just pop that away, so you squeeze it together and push your clip up towards the opening, and then that holds it shut, which means they'll stack really nicely. In my case, I put them in my Stampin' storage. So same with this, just going to line it up. You've got got the stalk and the tip of the leaf, and if you get those lined up, you're pretty much good to go. Okay, really nice firm pressure. On that, make sure you get all the little sort of debris bits out of your punch between each punch. You don't want to end up with something jamming the mechanism. Okay, and on this occasion we're not going to be using those extra bits and pieces there, they are scrap. One more of those to do, like so. Okay, so just pop away all those little bits, and again we can squeeze the punch, push the clip, and then that's flat and they can store away. So there's our little sort of elements there for our floral elements. So then we've just got to do something with these pieces. So I'm going to bring in some scrap paper. We're going to do a little bit of inking and stamping and things. So first things first, I'm going to use I'm just kind of going to line them up so that I can sort of do these kind of in one piece, but not really. I'm going to bring in Orchid Oasis and the little sort of speckly stamp there, because then what I can do is I can sort of stamp over both pieces of cardstock at the same time and kind of make them look like they're connected in the design. Top and bottom ones aren't going to be stamped on, so I'm just going to pop a couple of extra pieces on there, but leave that middle one a little more open so that we can pop our sentiments on there. sentiment's going to be the same one, the Sending Hugs stamp. That's going to be in Starry Sky. So again, just some nice light tapping. Get your little die cut straight on your grid paper, and then line that up. And I am actually going to hover a little to the left, not too much, but a little. I hope that's straight enough. Yep. Okay. Love that colour. It's that one and the Orchid Oasis, actually. They kind of got that sort of I think they've got like it's a similar blue to like ballpoint pen, if that makes any sense whatsoever. I don't know whether it comes across on camera, but that's what it reminds me of anyway. And then we just want to do a little bit of ink blending, which is that final colour, which is Tahitian Tide. So that's all 5 of the 2022 in colours that we'll have used. I don't want a lot of this. Just want something just to take off the stark white. So we're just going to bob some over the edges of this. Okay. So just popping that into the ink pad and then taking off a good proportion of it so that we get a really nice light blend on there. Totally optional, don't have to do this part. A little less on this one. Okay, so those are our 3 little panels there, and then we also want to have a little bit onto the background as well, just to sort of help that embossing come out. So we'll go back into our ink pad again. We're going to be covering up the centre part, so if the centre's a little heavy, it's not going to matter that much. So I'm going to work out from the centre. So we're just picking up a little bit of that detail. It doesn't have to be perfect, it's just giving us that extra little pop of colour around the back of these little die cut panels. And I'm just going to pop those on just so that I can see whether I've come out enough to actually do that. So I don't really want to go over the whole lot, I just want an inkling of it around, and I think that'll be fine. I just want it to be nice and subtle, just to sort of, like I say, just a little bit of a hint of the colour in the background. Okay, right, let's do some assembly then. Got the card base ready to go there with a textured panel like this. I do like to use the wet glue. We aren't generally friends, but it does have its advantages when you're dealing with things like this. Okay, so here's our card base. So if you used to try and use a tape runner over a textured surface, you can pull up the card, it will just grab and you know, potentially tear it. So the wet glue obviously won't be able to do that, and it gives you a bit of wriggle room, which is why a lot of people like it. So just use it sparingly and hopefully you won't get into a mess. And I'm going to burnish that on the back so I don't flatten any of that embossing on the front. Okay. Our panels here are going to be popped up onto some dimensionals as well, so we'll just grab a couple of these on each panel. If you sort of put them towards the middle, it'll give them plenty of support. But you know, if you really want to, you can put some extra ones on if you want. Okay, I'll just take off those backing pieces. Very nice and easy to do. Did you do that one? No. Okay. And again, just for a little bit of extra security and to give us that opportunity to make sure that they're lined up, we're going to put a little bead of glue on the back of each of those dimensionals. I'm going to place the one with the sentiment first. Okay, just put those out the way so we don't end up with glue on stuff. So the idea being that we get this one in the right place and centralised, and then the others will just sort of fall in line. So if you can hear some background noise, beautiful weather, which means everyone's out in their gardens. Okay, so now that that one's in, we can add these ones in. Now I found it easier to turn this on its side so that I could then eyeball that distance between those two panels a little bit more effectively. And I've tried to keep mine in the order that I stamped them in, just to sort of have this sort of continuity, or at least the illusion of continuity through them. Totally optional. I wouldn't say that was particularly necessary to carry off the design at all. And then we've got all our little floral elements there. So we're going to use bone folder pen, whatever, to give these some shape. So press on the back first and then press in into the centre, and we get these really nice sort of curves to our little flowers there. So if I turn those on their back, and again if we use a bead of wet glue, it just gives us an opportunity, like I say, to move things around if we're not quite happy, just for a few seconds until it starts to grab. Oops. That's an old diddy one. Ooh. Like so. And then for these, I found that they were a little long on as they were, so I'm going to actually snip off this bottom leaf, which I didn't do on the original, but as I say, I just think that they are just a teensy bit long. And we're just going to put some dabs of glue onto those larger leaves there, and they'll sit behind those flowers. If that glue doesn't make contact with something, it'll just dry. It won't have any, it won't show or anything. Because that last leaf there is just hanging over a little. So those two will just give you enough of an anchor. You still get the movement. Okay, there we go. That's wonderful. And the only thing I added were a few little iridescent pearls, because I felt like with all the different colours, that iridescent look kind of brought it all together. So I'll just put some of those on there, just as a extra little something in the background, just to bring it all together. And that's it. That's our card. Let's say it was part of an Instagram hop, or Insta hop, I don't know if that's, is that a phrase, Insta hop, yesterday, so do check that out, because everyone will have made some really fantastic things using annual catalogue products. So I like the way this has turned out, really love it. Okay, and then this is the original. Okay, so yeah, really great. Obviously you can go to town on your colours and use something that you want to use. Absolutely loads of options that you could do with the same theme. So I hope that's been informative and you've enjoyed seeing how I did that. Thanks a lot for joining me today. Take care and I'll see you soon. Bye.